Have you ever wanted Rogue Legacy, but Binding of Isaac? Well, that's this game. Undermine is an early access, top-down roguelite adventure game that takes the upgrade system from Rogue Legacy and combines it with some Binding of Isaac gameplay, and it makes for a really solid... You're a peasant. Not a hero, not an adventurer. A filthy, unwashed, mustachioed peasant. You are tasked with exploring the depths of the Undermine. If you've ever played Isaac, this should look pretty familiar. You go through rooms that shut you in until you kill all the enemies. There's keys for locked doors, bombs for secret rooms, shops, chests, item rooms, etc. And when you die, you start over. There's more than enough peasants to explore this mine. The main difference is your method of attack. Unlike Isaac, your main attack is a close-range whack with your trusty pickaxe. You can also throw it like a boomerang, but you can't use it until it comes back. Obviously. There's also a jump button that serves as a dodge to some attacks and a counter to the worst enemy of all. Holes in the ground. Like other roguelites, you go through levels and get items, or relics in this game, that increase your character's abilities in some way. Every floor has a relic room, but all of them after the first one are locked and you'll need a key to get in. The relic effects in this game range from increasing basic stats to bombs that make bombs that make bombs, to making gold have a chance to multiply whenever it touches the ground. Speaking of gold, money is very important in this game because you keep some of it when you die, and you can use it in between runs to buy items for the next run, or permanent upgrades that affect every run after. The game won't just let you have the money though. These little slime balls called pilfers show up whenever there's gold on the ground, and they'll try to steal it. I worked hard for this gold, dang it! They don't do damage and you can get rid of them with one hit, but they still occasionally get away with some of your hard-earned loot. You also have a little bird that helps you get hard-to-reach money. As you collect more gold and delve deeper into the mine, the bird will level up and unlock additional effects like picking up gold at super speed. Later, you can also unlock different familiars to bring along that do different things, like this cardinal shoots big fireballs? They also start at level 1 on every run. It isn't a persistent thing. Wait, we were talking about money. I guess I kind of got off track. In addition to gold, you also get a purple crystal called thorium. Thorium is used to unlock new things in the game by crafting blueprints that you also find throughout the game. Once a blueprint has been forged, that item can appear in any future runs. Another big mechanic in the game is the blessing curse system. There are altars in the game that can grant you blessings or buffs on a chosen stat, but they will also curse you, randomly lowering one of your stats. There are a few ways to get blessings and curses, and another few ways to remove them, which will become more pronounced as you go through the game. A lesser but still important mechanic is that elemental effects exist and are relevant to the terrain. If a fire attack hits oil, froosh. If electricity hits water, zap. If you're on fire and you jump in water, I don't have a sound effect for that. Some enemies have elemental weaknesses too. Undermine does bosses in a Rogue Legacy manner where they appear in a set order. Every level has 4 sections, and at the end of the 4th section you fight a boss. Once it's dead, it's dead. Until you kill the final boss, then all the bosses return, but stronger. There are also several NPCs in the Undermine that you can help out that will return to the hub and provide some kind of shop for you. Some of them are a little tricky to find, so remember to keep your eyes peeled and that X marks the spot. If you manage to kill the final boss, you get to keep all of your hard-earned cash and you will start again with the previously mentioned harder bosses. That's the game. I like it. The melee swing in this game feels good. It's nice and meaty, it has a good sound effect, knockback, it's mwah. The enemies also do not deal contact damage, which is a pet peeve of mine, so every enemy has a physical attack animation before it hurts you. They also have enough of a cooldown time between attacks that you can get in there and whack them a few times without getting smacked back. These few mechanics combined just make the combat feel good. The pilfers look like they'd be frustrating, but I think they're pretty amusing most of the time. They often fall in holes,
more victims dragged to the abyss,
or run into spikes and traps trying to steal your gold. The permanent upgrades definitely make you feel like you are progressing the game forward, as opposed to roguelites that just stick to having new items appear in future runs. Each area of the game has very distinct enemies that all attack in their own way, requiring different tactics to take them out. This imp fireballs under you 3 times before moving around, so you need to stay mobile while they attack. These guys throw nasty cauldrons that spit out poison blobs, so you need to take them out ASAP. I think you get the idea. The game also has a pretty good sense of humor. All the NPCs have some line that gets a sensible chuckle out of me. Chests can have chests in them. Chestception. Another cool thing is that the game updated while I was producing this video, and the update fixed 2 of my main complaints I had in my cons section. The first boss used to be the hardest one, they nerfed him. This upgrade that made food heal more used to be OP, they nerfed it. The update is also where they added the familiars, so that's why some of my footage doesn't have the XP bar.
Look, nothing.
Adding new content and balancing old stuff? Hell yeah, brother! Overall, for an early access game, it feels really solid to play. There are a few things that aren't that solid though. There's an option called mouse aim that starts off not enabled and it 100% should be. This lets you aim your boomerang throw to where your mouse is, otherwise you're stuck to throwing it in the direction that you're pressing. Turning this option on was the best permanent upgrade. I think right now, the item pool overall isn't super interesting. There are a lot of items that just increase basic stats, and those aren't bad, they're just a little boring. But there's also a few relics that make you feel like you wasted your key to get them. The biggest offenders are these boots that let you walk and jump on oil, and whenever you jump, you make an oil puddle splash when you land. It's not very useful. The relic that you get from the first boss makes this egg every room that hatches into a larva, and it's worthless. It dies when you clear the room, it dies before it hatches, it dies in one hit, it dies when you hit it. Thankfully, there are some cool items, and the base combat being as solid as it is, it really doesn't ruin anything in my opinion. A lot of the chance type activities in this game are currently not worth playing. There are cursed chests that give you items but also get you cursed. There's also a room with a lever that costs health to pull, and it might possibly give you stuff, but most of the time it just doesn't really reward you at all. The risk reward here could use a little bit of adjusting maybe. Jumping in a top-down perspective makes depth perception a little bit hard. I've definitely fallen into holes I didn't think I would fall into before.
Holes are Satan.
The permanent upgrades do feel a little double-edged at times. Until I beat the first boss, I kind of felt like I was going on suicide runs to try to get enough money to buy an upgrade or 2 when I died. This pretty much went away after I beat the first boss though. Also, they nerfed the first boss, it could easily not be that way anymore. When you beat the game, only the bosses get harder. I pretty much have only died to bosses after my first loop of the game. I think it would make the game more interesting if everything got a bit harder, not just the bosses. Maybe every time you beat the game, one area gets harder. So you beat the game, the first area gets harder, then the second, and so on. When the final area is harder, it loops back around to the first area and it gets even harder. This way, if the final area is tough in a run, it will probably still be tough the next run, but you won't run through the first area and just one-shot everything. This will keep the upgrades relevant throughout the game, and the game will gradually get harder. That's just some armchair game dev though. They kind of have something like this right now, where enemies from later levels start showing up earlier in the game and in bigger numbers, but there's nothing that says this officially, it's just something that I've noticed. Lastly, I wish you had a way to forge blueprints a second time, because the first time you craft a new item, you get to carry it into the run, but there's no way to do that again. You can only craft one item per run because if you craft more, the pilfers will steal them. So I don't see why you can't re-find blueprints or something. And that would also be a good thorium dump because you eventually just have a million of it. I think all of these could pretty easily be fixed and don't actually hinder my enjoyment of the game that much. Heck, it's kind of fun to just run through the gold mine and demolish everything. The game is in early access after all. This game slaps. Is $15 or your regional equivalent on Steam. For this review, I played 17 hours across 41 runs, finished 5 runs, and I definitely did not find all the recipes and secrets in the game. It's got fun combat, fun personality, It's just a good time. The devs are also fairly active on their Discord and they're excited to bring a lot more content to their game. I will definitely revisit this game in the future. If you like this video, smash like, subscribe, comment, all those things that YouTubers ask you to do, because these actually help me out a lot. I also have a Discord and a Twitter if you want to poke me on either of those. I'll catch you on the next video. 2 Lainz, out.